First time doing this. I don't know. All right.
Oh, shit.
There we go. Ready?
All right. 3, 2, 1. What is up, Blackstroke Nation? The lifeguards are gone. Yeah, that's right. My voice sounds like something straight out of Tales of the Crypt. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Probably not, but, a brother can have hope. It is the Night Swim Podcast. I'm your co-host, Dax Hill, with the voice for the ladies, and I'm here with your other co-host, Elvis. Elvis, how you living?
Dude, what happened to your voice?
I have no idea. I woke up last Thursday. Swear to God, went to bed fine, woke up, voice was gone, and this whole half of my tongue was yellow and swollen.
Oh, you've been licking some dirty booty.
No, man, I don't do that. That's some Gen Z, Gen Alpha stuff right there. I don't do that.
Hope so.
Yeah.
But,
keep the turd cutter away from my mouth, dog.
Anyway, so that's why we've been kind of quiet the past week. Dax was out.
Yeah, I apologize, guys. This is my fault entirely.
But that's all right, though, because we're working on some stuff behind the scenes, getting some stuff ready. We have an amazing guest that we've been trying to get on this show for months. Busy man.
Some may even say landmark. Yes.
Landmark. Probably definitely our biggest guest to date. And he'll have to confirm, but I think this is the first podcast since he broke the world record in the 50 free.
Wow, there's just terrible anticipation right there. Just gave it away. Like, no build up, just
well, you know what I realized? We can't really keep it a secret because it's gonna be like the headline of the YouTube video.
Yeah, right, word.
So it's like whatever. So let's just bring him on up and start yapping. Here we are.
What's up?
Cam McEvoy.
There was someone could have seen that as bringing Christian on board, depending on what time this would have been recorded.
Yeah, true.
But thanks for having me.
Touche.
I think Elvis just froze. But while Elvis gets his camera together, I want to say this, because we've been saying this to the haters forever. We may not have the numbers to show that we are popping in the streets, but you don't get the fastest man in the world on your podcast, first podcast, maybe not first interview, the first podcast after he breaks the world record, if you ain't the rocket ship going to Mars.
Yeah. Shout out Night Swim for that.
Yeah.
You guys are everywhere. No, people can't stop talking about this podcast, so you're doing a good job. Thank
you, man. As we always say, we're number one in the streets, just not on the sheets.
Yeah, not yet. It's on the rise.
Number one in the sheets, but not in the number one in the streets, but not in the sheets. Is that what you said, Dax?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
You know I do, man.
Yeah. Well, let's get it going. So Cam, what have you been doing since you've broken this world record? Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, let's get some proper sauce on this. What have you been doing since you've been crowned the fastest man per meter per stroke?
I wish I could say cool stuff, but I've been fried. I got back from China, landed media straight away, and then within 2 days got a head cold. I had a speaking engagement on a couple of days after I got back. Went there sick with a head cold, and then one of the other people there had COVID, caught that. And so I strung together a head cold into COVID. And so I was out for almost 2 weeks. I went down, the baby went down, the wife went down. It was a war zone at home. I do not wish that on anyone. It was rough. It was way harder than the training for the world record. But I'm better now. I've been back training for 2 weeks. First week was pretty chill, but this week now that we're at the end of, is the first week I've done full intensity for everything, and we're back dropping good times. It's like I never got sick. So I wish it was a cool story, but I got sick.
Did I I saw you post something where you were maybe implying or secretly teasing that you're training for the 100 again. Is that true, or was that just you trolling us?
That was an April 1st little joke. I am mega curious about the 100 though. I'm not going to lie. I've been saying for a while, once I go 20, I'd like to give it a crack. In what capacity? I don't know. I'd even be really interested in what I'd go like with no 100 training, just this type of training, how much that would carry me. But yeah, I'm currently all eyes forward for the 50 for the rest of this season. I've still got Commonwealth Games. We got our trials. I was going to do a little Europe trip and race a couple times there, but that got cancelled. And then off the back of that, looking into what I can do maybe for short course, for World Cups. I don't want it to affect LA. Like whatever I do now, I'm going to have to shift stuff around. I still need to get my off-season gym based and everything in. So I'm still planning all that type of stuff. But if I can get it done, maybe I could do something where I introduce a tumble turn into my race.
So it's interesting you say that. So I feel like my voice is getting better as this goes on. My team that I grew up on in my like last 2 or 3 years, we did 25s and 50s, all out, just go. We pretty much get good at going all out, right? And one of the things that for my 200 and my 100, really the 200, was like on feel, right? So like if I can go 47 or 45 from a push, I can cruise 47.
Yep.
Right? So when you say that about the 100, and I've said this about even the 400, that distance swimmers are a dying breed. Because like you think someone like you, and let's just, tease the 400, right? You going out 25-0 is a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Like that's a non-stressful, and it's just how long can you do that without stress?
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about the 100, it's like going out like 22.5 has got to be a piece of cake. So really you're only training to come back like 25-0. So kind of like, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, the problem now, a decade ago, great. That would have been perfect. That would have been a 47.5. That's the time that Kyle went 47.58 to win Rio. All in the 2010s, barring like Caleb in the later stages, would have won Worlds. These days, you got to go 46 now to even be on the podium. 46.5 is winning at 46.4. You've got Jack going 46 multiple times in the like semi, the final, backing up with a 45 in a medley relay at the end of the week. So I agree, like definitely like that speed reserve stuff goes a long way. But these days, like I need to be 20, 21.9, 22.0. I think Jack's 22.2, 22.3 feet on the wall. Pop's like 22.5 or something, Pan's 22.2. So I'd still need to have that high 21, which is doable, but then how much does that take away from the end? Been looking at short course as well. So there's a whole bunch of 44.9s. Kyle's world record holder, 44.8. All of them split 21.4, 21.5. And then even to the 25, I know my 25 times really well. They're 10.1, 10.2, 10.3 to the feet. I could pretty comfortably right now be probably 9.6, 9.7 to the feet with a breath flags.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That gap just from the first 25 alone is pretty massive. But then I like after I split that 50, like it's downhill. It's a cliff. It's not downhill. It's a cliff. But I mean, thinking about from where I am now, the 50 and the 100. Traditionally, it's like get your base in the off season, do your aerobic stuff, kind of sprinkle in the speed at the end. I'd flip that on its head. My base for a 100 approach would be pretty much what I'm doing now for a 50. Like I'd max out my strength, max out my speed, short speed. And then basically from the 50 to the 100, I'd kind of come up to it that way as opposed to approach it from the top down. And I think the 100's closer to the 50 in terms of strength endurance, in terms of speed endurance, and not so much the like deep back end aerobic threshold type of stuff than we think. I mean, look at Van Mathias. He dropped a 58.1 100 breaststroke I don't know exactly what he's doing like from a day-to-day basis, but I've heard from multiple people he's doing pretty low volume. Like even when he burst onto the scene after he took some time off last year, I think he had a short runway, not that much volume, smashed it out of the park there. And then a year later, he's dropping 58.1, 100 breaths. What was he, 26.3, 50 breaths, 23.0, 54. He's just dropping like lights out times left, right, and center. And that includes 100. So, yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on it. I really, really want to do it. I definitely think that speed reserve I have right now would take me a long way. And it's just figuring out how to not destabilize that and then just close the gap in at the end.
Right.
Yeah. So I got a lot of thoughts on it.
What's funny about that is when you're talking about the 100 training, I said basically the exact same thing a couple podcasts ago, and people acted like I was speaking Chinese or something. Like they were like, "There's no way that's anywhere near correct what you're talking about." So it's interesting to hear you say that. I keep telling you I'm going to do this, but I'm supposed to send you basically the workouts, how to train that style of training, what you're looking to do. And second, we did talk about Van today, Van Matthias, and he's having a good meet this week, and he is doing pretty much the exact same or very similar to the style training that you've been doing.
Yeah. So there's one example already. We've seen glimmers of stuff as well. Like we got a junior who trains with us. He's been training with us for a while. Josh Conius was at Junior Worlds last year. He got 5th in the 53. As a 16-year-old, he'd never done traditional training. So he moved to Tim in 2023. He was 15 at the time. Never done more than 10K in a week. First session in, it was like 5K a Monday morning. Went home, didn't rock up. And like halfway through the week, Tim called his parents, like, "Where is he?" And he's like, "I don't want to do that. I'm not going in." So he effectively was like, "No, fuck that. I'm quitting." So Tim got him in, got him doing like 1-2K, like chills type of stuff. I came along, and then Josh jumped on board on this type of training. He was doing no more than 3K a week at 16, and he dropped to 50.0 100 free. And his back end was like 25 mid or something like that, which for a 50-0 is nuts. And so, yeah, like things are stacking up. What you have to do is look at the track and field world, look at how the 400 guys train. I think I've proven, so my approach is very similar to what the 200 people do on the track. If that's similar, then surely there is some sort of similarity to the 400 and the 100. It's not that far away. And they're doing wildly different stuff to what traditional swimming would say you need for the 100. I could sit here all day and just tick off examples of stuff. It's hard because I haven't been able to get in the water and be like, here you go, the same way I did for the 50. And I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to do that in its like entirety. So multiple years of trying to do that, unless like, I don't know, post LA, I'd try it, but I'll be super unk status by then. I'll be 34. So I don't know about that, but yeah, there's a lot there. We're starting to see a few people come out and do that type of stuff, but it's so untapped. It's so extremely untapped.
So why do you think that is? I mean, Dax and I come on this podcast and we preach about this type of training and getting away from the traditional style. So much to the fact that I almost have to make a conscious effort to stop talking about it, because I'm like, that's all we're going to talk about on this podcast it's like the old man yelling at the cloud, But why do you think that is? People, anytime we post something about you or about your training, it's like automatic.
Well, one of our this for this long. That's why it works.
Yeah, it's like one of our highest viewed videos, and people are so emotional about it. I mean, like calling us names, like getting racist, like it's like those are the most controversial topics. I don't understand. Like, why do you think that is?
I want to start with the caveat that obviously it's been proven that people can go 48, 47, some of them go 46 traditionally. Like it's not like the traditional thing doesn't work. It's just there's a tiny subset of people that it does work for, and it works really well. This type of stuff that I'm talking about, that you guys are talking about, it's just an alternative pathway. It's a parallel pathway that gets to the same point. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot less work in terms of the aerobic type of endurance building, but like at the same time, it's way more work in terms of race pace development, strength, technique. It's much more of a scalpel as opposed to just like a machine gun just constantly shooting, as opposed to just a sniper shot at what you need to do for the race itself. So yeah, I want to caveat with that. In terms of the emotional response, I have to put it down to the fact that it's just a way to protect their own beliefs. Like more often than actually no, in its entirety, it's only ever commented in the sense where there's zero understanding from what it is that I'm actually doing and what it is that this actual approach is and what it leans on, like what type of adaptations it sits in. And you like they dox themselves immediately in the sense where if the defense is from the point of view of energy systems and energy systems alone, then they're already out. They're not even in the same room in terms of the actual scope of theory that's behind this type of training. Like the energy systems, they are there, they're present in the race, but they're not the levers that get you fast for sprinting. Like your nervous system, technique, strength, all that type of stuff in that realm is a much bigger lever and a much bigger, I guess, rate limiter compared to what your aerobic is, what your phosphate creatine is, all that type of stuff. And so their initial starting point of only talking about energy systems alone is wrong and off the bat straight away. So it's to do with the idea where, I don't know, as a human, if you spend a lot of your time putting something towards your passion in a particular way, a particular viewpoint, and then something comes along and challenges it, then obviously it's in our nature to kind of get a little bit defensive by that. It doesn't excuse the fact that there's no, I guess, professional curiosity to just be like, instead of the initial reaction of, that's because you did our training for 15 years and that's the only success and base that you need for this type of work, and then they move on without any second thought. Instead of doing that, parking that to the side, at least initially, and just going out and being like, okay, how does this work? Like, even if I don't agree with it at the start, as long as I understand where it's coming from, then I can kind of make a critical viewpoint on what's happening. But that doesn't happen. Like in Australia alone, I've had 0 coaches come up to me and actually go, okay, what's actually happening from the ground up? What are you doing? And it's not like there's been a lack of opportunity for that. There's actually been plenty of opportunity for that. So yeah, it's just I think it's just it's inertia. It's inertia for change, and it's inertia for having to change viewpoints that are long held. And so, yeah, it's one of those slow changes that probably is a generational shift, as opposed to I guess that like by next year things will be different. Yeah, that's where I sit at the moment.
See, like one thing that I recognize, and it's kind of even goes back to the basketball thing, is when I hear you talk about the like overall plan of where you do whatever aerobic you do, where your max strength is, and then you're kind of like managing it. It's exactly how football players and basketball players, which here in the US are best athletes, how they train. They're not doing this long season of work and then getting ready for 2 weeks out. They do all their work up front and then they coast. And having lived it too and still been, successful. I remember I went to a national select camp and me and one of my future teammates got put in the slowest lane and we were still too slow for that lane. So they put us in the other lane. But then on the last day when we do the races, we're whooping ass. So it's like, there's something to be said that like, even though nobody's paying attention to it, it's there in all these other sports. And you would think that, and I think this maybe gets to the ego thing you're talking about. Oh, I heard my voice right there. That it's like they're not looking for an edge over their competitors. That they're almost like trying to find a way to win being safe. Like even with the Reckless stuff that I made, it was like, I need something special because we have 10-year-olds, 19 kids a lane, and they're a bunch of BB swimmers. Like, we're not going to out-train anybody. So we needed an edge of something else. And it's like, I don't know if this is going to be, I'm going to say this correctly, but it's like there's not enough competition.
My bad.
No.
I got my best going on.
Competition, or like emphasis on competition between coaches for the sport to really push into what you're doing. Because like for me, it's a no-brainer. Like, this guy's smoking everybody. There's something I can use, right?
Well, I think that's for now. Going back to your initial point, like with the other sports doing it, overwhelmingly, I get two responses to the type of training I'm doing. So in the swim world, the number one response is, how the hell are you doing 1.5 kilometers a week, 2 kilometers a week? Like, how are you swimming so little? It makes no sense, all this type of stuff. And then outside of the swimming community, doesn't matter if it's track and field, speed cycling, strength and conditioning, whatever it is, the number one response is, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, finally someone's doing it.
I was thinking that.
We're talking about this for 20, 30 years. We've never understood what you swimmers do. It's all stupid from our point of view. Thank God that you're finally doing it right now. And so, yeah, I think that stark difference is enough in and of itself. And that goes a long way as well. So I forgot what your question was, but that was my initial thing that came up.
No, that was it. It was like, what are your thoughts about this? Because it exists in other sports, and it's like common sense.
Yeah,
But
Okay, another one. I will at this stage, I'll die on this hill. I hope this changes, but any S&C coach, any run-of-the-mill S&C coach that has a grasp on just general good fundamental principles in strength training is probably a better sprint swimming coach than like 99% of the world right now. I would back that, just because so much of the swim world is so collapsed in on the metabolic energy system on that level, and there's complete ignorance to the rest of the stack, your nervous system, everything else. An S&C coach would run circles around it, simply with just like neural preservation, neural readiness, being able to work on that type of stuff. And we're seeing pockets of people around the world, or groups of people around the world, doing this type of stuff and getting results. Like ASP, Sean over in Southern California, he's got his group. He's he ex-swimmer, so he's got the swimming background and knowledge, but studied and trained in S&C. He's bringing those S&C principles into swimming, and we're seeing results. Like Calvin Justice, for example, a couple of years ago, he couldn't walk. His back was so ruined that he was bedridden for months, could barely walk. Eventually got out of it, found himself in the pool, started back a year ago, 23.5, and then now I think overnight he went 21.9.
Yeah,
so
he went 21.9 either last night or 2 nights ago at South African trials. He won, so congrats to Calvin.
He qualified for Commonwealth Games. Huge shout out to Calvin for that, and Sean and all of ASP. And then also we had an 18-year-old drop a 21.7 at our national age group champs with one breath. And at 16, he stopped traditional training. This is Ollie. Stopped traditional training at 16, so 2 years ago. He was a 23.9 swimmer at the time. So he was pretty decent 16-year-old, but scrap that. From then, I think he never goes over like 2K is his biggest session. He'll rarely hit a kilometer per session. 2 years later, 21.71, 21.73, something like that. If he was like 3 months younger, that'd be the junior world record. I think he turns 19 like at the end of the year. And yeah, like you're having these pockets of people sprout up simultaneously that are just proving it. And so if you're not looking at this as a coach and as, I mean, even other athletes as well, and at least taking on board, or at least like critically analyzing what's happening, then you're just leaving yourself behind.
You know, to touch on some of that, I actually have a friend who has an SEC track coach training her in the pool, and she's swimming phenomenally. I'm not going to call her name because I don't know if she wants that to be known yet, but she's swimming great. Second, I do like to look at the track world because, I mean, they are the fastest people out there, so they definitely know something about sprinting. But, you know, when I went to the Olympics, you know, track and field is the #1 sport in the Bahamas. So I got to, you know, stay in the same village with these guys and I learned a lot from that, and it really changed my mindset. And one of the biggest things, it changed my mind around like the taper and training. While we were at the Olympics, you know, one of them had a bad race, and I was like, oh man, like, you know, you do better next season. He was like, next season? He's like, I got to meet next week. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I, you know, after this, I'm flying out to Stockholm for, you know, some Diamond League meet. And I'm like, dude, after this, I'm taking a month off. Like, my season's done. He's like, you've only had 2 meets. What do you mean your season's done? I got like 4 more after this. I'm like, how do you taper for that? And he's like, you swimmers are so backwards.
Yeah.
And that kind of what got me onto that. Like, okay, so we've been doing this wrong for a long time, clearly. And then he went to that meet and like went a best time or something after the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
that's not even sprinters either. You look at the whole going into Paris, you look at all the Diamond Leagues going forward. You had it was the quickest 800 field in Olympic history, and everyone in that final had raced 5-6 times in the 2 months leading up to it, and most of them did their PBs pre-Paris, like pre-Olympic final. And so, like, you put that in swimming terms, that's like a whole bunch of, like, get the whole 200 freestyle final in Paris. They're racing multiple times, like 5-6 times in the April, May, June leading up to it, and they're not going 147, 146, like, yeah, we're in work, like, that's a good time. Like, they're dropping 143s, they're dropping 142 high, 143s, 144s. That would be the equivalent of it. And the same thing for the 1500. I think Ingebrigtsen was dropping sub 330s. There was Hocker dropping. I think he went sub 330 a few times. And that's like the 400. And so it's not just sprinting that track and field do this with. It's all the way, at least all the way up to the 400. Well, our version of 400. And it's back to front. Like, I would love to do something like that. I had that plan this year. I was going to hit 3 competitions before Commonwealth Games, but it didn't work out for some reasons that we won't get into at the moment, which are pretty stupid. But that I've been trying to do that for a long time. I mean, I'm looking forward to LA, but there's nothing in the US I could go over earlier and race that as a lead-in going in. Like, there's just no competitions. So, and in Australia, it's even worse. Like, the domestic scene here is, you get a competition, there's about 4 people in the stands, and then also you're lucky to get a competition maybe once every month and a half or something like that. So
that gives me a great idea. Let's do like a night swim meet leading into the Olympics in California. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
I'm down. Oops. Make it short course meters, and we'll get a bunch of 25s, and we'll get as many sprinters in as possible, and we'll just see how many people can drop PBs. Get a live band in as well. I saw a deadlift competition on Instagram, and every time someone went up to the platform and started pulling their whatever they were pulling, they had this live metal band behind them just screaming music at them, like, throughout the whole thing. We could set the same thing up. As soon as the gun goes, like, you have the music play. It'd be the best atmosphere.
I know you're like semi joking, but I'm legitimately planning.
Love that. I would love that.
We're legitimately going to plan this for real.
Yeah.
We've talked ad nauseum about, like, how bad the presentation is in swimming. So yeah, we got ideas.
Yeah, I know. I can't say too much. Actually, I can't say anything about it. But I know there's something else being kind of worked up as well that they're aiming for, kind of mid to late 27, which is something I haven't seen in sprint swimming or swimming world at all. So won't say anything. But if they can get off the ground running, I reckon that'd be pretty cool too.
Well, whoever's doing it, tell them to call us. We'll get it up. We'll help them. No. Yeah, pause.
We'll get you guys involved.
Yeah.
Suit up, do a 25 or a 50.
Ooh.
No, I can't let my kids see me like that.
I could fake. No, I can't race y'all. No, I got to be you'll have to get like able-bodied people similar to me, so I can at least
we'll just make it head-to-head. You versus each other. That's it.
Oh, I can do that.
I'd beat Dax.
Get out of here.
I'd beat you today, right now.
Hey, maybe.
No.
A lot can change in a year.
There's no way you'd beat me in a 25 right now, Dax.
For sure. My technique's better than yours.
My speed and power is better than yours.
No, man, definitely not. I don't know, but maybe power, maybe nope.
Look what Cam just started.
You're going to see on your back end on your technique website, Elvis is going to sign up. He's going to be cycling through those videos.
Yeah, I'm gonna be right there. Block.
Look at Cam is just starting some black on black crime right now. That's messed up.
Yeah, man.
You made a point where you said you think the shift will probably be generational, and I was thinking that too, but since you've broken the world record and we've seen Van and all these other people and everything else, I've gotten more cynical, actually. I honestly think after the Olympics and maybe even after your retirement, this is just it's gonna die out like a fad, and then it's just gonna go quiet again, and people are gonna go right back to continuing their traditional training, because a lot of what you talk about is what I know, like the Auburn sprinters were doing, 10, 15, almost 20 years ago. A lot of the team elite stuff. I mean, it's what you're doing is not, it's great, but it's not like this new thing that you've discovered. Like, people have been doing it. And like we say, like track and field has been doing this. Other performance sports have been doing this. So it just seems like it's not going to break through in swimming. And I've kind of accepted it, because the ones who are smart enough to do it, it's almost like they were keeping it a secret. The ones who were smart enough to do it were keeping it a secret because, I mean, think of how many podcasts you've been on, Cam, and how many places you've talked about. You've freely given away this information, freely, and people aren't taking it. So, fuck them. They don't want it. Let them suffer. That's what I say.
Well, I think that's the difference, where like I started this back in late 2022, and I've been extremely liberal in the information and the journey and everything I've learned along the way. Every podcast I've done after each season, I just say as much as I could about what I learned, what I did. If you watch them back to back, you see the evolution of what I learned, what I changed, etc., where I'm at now. It's to the point where someone messaged me the other day where someone else made a Substack of them trying to put together what my training method is from a scientific point of view. And aside from a couple, like some nuance, it was pretty well done. To the point where like that's a nice blueprint to start from. So I think the difference is there's stuff out there now, as opposed to like back then, if it was other sport within the sport, like it was gate kept in a sense. And so the onus is on me and on anyone else who picks this up to actively continue to share all this stuff. Kind of like, basically push it out so it doesn't die out. I'm definitely more optimistic than you are around this. Even in the last 3 years, like I look at the World Championship finals in the 50 2023, I was the only one doing it. I mean, Ben was doing his style of training, which was a lot less than traditional, but still different. And then you come 2024, you have a few more people in the final kind of leaning towards this. 2025, you have half of the final. So the final itself is getting more and more people. And then also you look at the world rankings. So I come on the scene doing this type of stuff, 2023. I go 21-0 and 21-5 was second best in the world that year for that season. Then you look at 2024 and Ben's up there with his 21-2, and then you have a couple 21-4s and then a few 21-5s. Then you look at last year and Ben's 21-2, you have a couple 21-3s, you have a lot of I think 21-46 or something wasn't even top 10 or barely top 10. And so you're seeing the density of world rankings in sprinting in 50, in 50 free come down, even 50 fly. Look at the 50 fly world rankings last year. I think it was like 22-8 or something you had to go to make the final. And they used to be on the podium, guaranteed podium. And so you have sprinting depth, even in Australia as well. Like I won Tokyo Olympic trials with a 22.0. In 2023, I was 21.2, and I think second was 21.8. Everyone else was 22s. Now I think we have 9 or 10 guys sub 21. And we could have a whole final going sub 21, and it's only 3 years later. So I'm definitely more optimistic that things will maybe change. Maybe the difference is social media. Like social media wasn't around 15 years ago, whereas it's so much easier to just send this type of message out. But I also think it's hard to ignore now. Like I had my first career up until Tokyo. I had a sprinkle of some really good swims here and there, but generally speaking, I just filled a lane at a competition most of the year. Had time off, and then I've come back and basically won everything and got the world record. And so that type of turnaround with a shift in training is hard to ignore as well. Like that journey and the story behind it. Stories bring a lot more emotional investment in. And then also the final thing on top, I've been yapping for a while, but the final thing on top of this is I've had an unreal amount of messages from people who quit the sport at maybe they were in their teens, early 20s, whenever it was, because they hated the distance training. They were burnt out, didn't want to see a pool. They spent their retirement away from the pool. They didn't swim once, saw what I was doing, saw what I was kind of teaching about it, and were like, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll get in the water. They got in the water, and the amount of people who are late 30s, in their 40s, doing lifetime bests in their sprint events, and they're doing 2 or 3 sessions a week, just getting in, sprinting, feeling good, is nuts. I did not expect the sheer number of that type of response. And then on top of that, like they're loving it. And so they have that passion reignited. They talk about it and everything. And I know that's not like, they're separate to the swimming community, the coaches that guide, etc. You have like nuances about like how easy it is to do this type of training in a bigger squad environment, which obviously you've got to be flexible. There's things around that, but I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic.
That's some really good facts there, though. That was helpful.
I think the problem with it, though, at least for why I'm not optimistic, is it's all, how do I say this? The people you're trying to convince aren't at the top where you can see where it's happening.
Yeah.
Right. And even like the generational side, like you've had people like me and my brother. I'm sure there's legions of swimmers who came from non-traditional programs who somebody should have been like, oh, that's different. Like, and these are like some of the best coaches in the world. So I look at it as like the reason why I'm not optimistic is we just take like the world-class coaches. What is it going to take for them to basically take all their world-class athletes and be like, yo, we're going to show up for 30 minutes to swim every day from now on, right? And then what it's going to take for the people that look up to them to abandon, like, take a swim back, right? Swim is in North Carolina. Like the most successful club team since like 2010, 2000 maybe. Like, what is it going to take for that team to be like, we're abandoning this, it's worked for us, and has made us the top team in the country for 30, 40 years? Because it's like, to me, it's like, that's who this needs to convince. Because once those people get it, the rest is going to fall in line. And I just don't see how you can break that ego. Or I don't see a way through that ego to where the generational thing would happen, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the answer would be changing their minds. I think it's just new groups sprout up with the ability to produce results, and then they eventually become the new Swim Max, for example, which is, again, why I think that's maybe a generational thing. Like you've got to look at the topology of what's going on. So basically, the people who want to try this out currently, people in my position who are at the end of their career, it was kind of like a nothing to lose type of thing. Or you have younger swimmers in their 15, 16, 17. They're not they're not quite doing the crazy like national records and stuff like that. And they're young enough to just be like, fuck it, I'm going to take a risk and do this and see what happens. I've got time. And so that's what we're seeing at the moment. We're seeing like Ollie at 16 trialing this out. I was doing it. You got Van doing it. A lot of other people kind of rolling the dice on this thing. From a coach's point of view, I think it's the same thing. So you have young coaches coming through. It's hard to climb the ladder, get your top jobs at a major college as a head coach, etc. They need to find something that might distinguish them away from the rest of the people. And so one thing would be to, again, take the risk and learn about what's going on here, learn about like what the actual real adaptations are, what the whole thing is about, and then run the risk to just start a group that trains like that and see where it goes. You see, like look at Sean's group down in Southern California again. He started with Marina and Calvin a year ago. Santo ended up joining. And then now their group is like massive. Like Caleb's working in satellite with them. Michael Andrews working in satellite with them. You've got people flying in internationally as well. So the group kind of just grows simply by existing in and of itself and showing the results. There's a good quote. It's by Carl Jung, and it's something I'll butcher it, but it's something along the lines of like, if I stick to my work conscientiously and diligently, friends will come and find me, or something like that. And so it's basically like if these people in kind of the outskirts of things just start to create pockets of this type of stuff and they attract one person, and then there's a domino effect that attracts more, then across time you'll see the results, and then you'll just see a shifting of the new swim Mac elites and all that type of stuff for the sprint world that come through. That's my very optimistic and hopeful reasoning.
Yeah, so here's back to my pessimistic view, I guess. I'm a big fan of what Sean's doing down there in California. I'm good friends with Marina and, some of the people on that team there. So I've been following them from the ground up and very happy with what they're doing and wish them the most success. My biggest fear, though, is that kind of what I said, like after the Olympics or Caleb or Michael Andrew decide to go their own way, that pocket is going to fall into obscurity again. And because it kind of happened with Team Elite, kind of happened with a lot of those big pro teams back in the 2010s up through 2016. They were doing revolutionary stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like swimming moves on to the next fad, or they revert back to the traditional because it's over. And that's my fear that will happen for Sean. I'm definitely not wishing that upon him, because he's worked hard for his success, and I think he'll continue to have success on the younger level with his team. I just worry about like the pro group, because I've seen pro groups, they pop up and then they disappear.
Yeah. Well, two things I reckon. First one would be this same shift happened in track and field at some point in time, around the 80s or something like that. I have no idea on the story of how that changed and how the type of training they do now overthrew the crazy amount of yardage that used to be done. But I reckon there's probably some gems in there that maybe if we learned from that, it's something to do here. And then the second thing might just be that's just what you accept. Like, don't make the mission for this to be the central approach for sprinting. Just make the mission that this is available for anyone who wants to go and do it, and then that's sufficient enough.
Yeah. I have a question quick about it. Do y'all say yardage overseas?
Yeah, rarely though. Rarely. We don't work in too much. But I have to say, I've been getting real into like short course yards, all the college competitions over there. I'm across the times now. It took a while. I'm across them. I wish they went to short course meters, but it's still pretty cool.
I would love to see what you could do short course yards 50.
I'd be interested too. I'd need a good year to work on that turn. But I think everything else would be all right. Like I was looking at Jordan's short course meter time is 1990. He was 9.5 or 9.6 feet on the wall. Basically, I was looking at it, and the segment wise, first 15, he was 4.9. I've been 5.0. Okay, it's not too bad. Swim speed into the wall, I reckon I'm pretty good there. But the 25 to the 25 to the 40 meter, the 15 meters off the wall, he drops me by 0.7.
Jesus.
In 15 meters. So that's all the underwater, the breakout, and everything like that. So short course yards, where that's obviously that's even more of the full 50. I don't know where I'd go, but I would love to see if I had a year to do it, which I don't. I'd love to see where I'd be at.
Yeah, that definitely proves that like short course is all about that underwater kick.
Oh yeah, it goes a long way, 100%.
So maybe we need to see what you do 25 yards to a touch.
Yeah, I'll be down for that.
That'd be great.
I've tried to figure it out. So my 25 free, like theoretical best, in my 2088, I was 7.14 to the 20. Good and then in training, the 20 to 25, my best is like a 1.95. So 9.09 for a 25 meters hand touch is like theoretical best. And so I think 25 yards is like 22 meters or something like that. So I reckon it'll be low 8.
Yeah, I was thinking like 8.1, 8.0.
Something like that.
Wow.
It would be. Yeah, I imagine a 7.9 would be sick. It'd be like an indoor 60. It'd be that type of race in the track world.
Well, when we do the night swim meet and you come along, we'll see what you can do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll do that. And I know Kyle wants me to maybe come out and drop a 25 yard to kickstart some like dual meet or something like that as like a little exhibition event. So if I can tee that up to being like in 20 shape, like in good form, I reckon that'd be fun.
I have this reminds me of one of the questions I have for you, and I hope I don't mess the game up for you, but if you can't answer it, say you can't answer it. No.
Well, Oklahoma is our safe word here at Night Swim.
Wait, what?
Oklahoma.
It's
from a you know the show Jackass?
Yeah.
So there's a skit where they one of their friends, they like, you know, the trolleys in hotel carts? They strap them to one and they leave him in a room with like 3 dominatrixes, and they are just whooping his ass. And then he's ball and gagged, so he can't say it. So at the very end of it, they let him loose, and he just like 2 minutes straight, he's just like Oklahoma, like, until he like unrobes himself and walks out. He's just Oklahoma the whole way through. So that's our safe word.
Okay. I'll say Oklahoma if I can't answer.
Okay. So back in my prime, back in the old days, let's see. On average, my start reaction was 0.63, and that was considered like, I would almost argue like world class, pretty fast.
It is. It was.
Yeah. So I would say during taper, I would hit 0.59 every now and then. And I knew maybe 1 or 2 people who were faster than 0.59. And it was a gentleman named Octavio Alessi. He would hit 0.58 pretty consistently. He was just a springy dude off the block. You hit like 0.53. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's got to be a fluke. And I went back to some of your other races, and you've consistently hit like 0.56, 0.58. So that's like ungodly, which leads me to believe, are you timing the starter or are you Aquaman?
Oklahoma.
Ah!
No. That's general reaction. Like in training, I'm probably around, even in like gym work and stuff, untapered, I'm in that 0.57 to 0.61 range, basically every rep. Yeah. I mean, so my mechanics, so my carbs insanely tight. So imagine you've got your like foot range of motion, you go up, you go down. I've got the normal range, but it's like it's shifted more down. And so my like if my squat, I can barely squat because I go a quarter of the way down and my heels come up. But the other way, and you can see it in my
keep going. That's also something that is very common in elite jumpers in football and basketball. But continue.
Really bad, really bad range in their calf. Well, it's springy, it's stiffness, and that helps. Yeah. Like we see time and time again on the blocks, everyone like you set up and everything. Everyone with, I guess, let's say normal calf range, they'll be in the dive position, gun goes, and they spend, I don't know, 0.05, 0.06 just dropping their heel before they can even move forward. Whereas like my tight calf, I'm in the dive position and I'm at max range. And so I just put all of my force through my feet, and I have no calf bend. And so it's just instantly off. And there's the stiffness there allows me to go quicker. There's a trade-off. So like my front leg, I can't really drop my knee down as far as I want. So I have to, if you look at it from front on, my knee goes a little bit out so I can like make space to move over. So that trade-off means like I might not jump as far, but I mean, I'm 0.1 quicker than the average person in a 50 free off the block. And so I'll happily take that trade-off.
For those of you listening who don't understand reaction times, 0.53, like I said, 0.63 is world class. 0.59 is, I remember when I went 0.59 at Short Course Worlds one year, people were like, I think you may have false started. Your timing, that looked shady.
Yeah.
0.53 is,
you're cheating.
Is egregious.
I mean, it depends on like Flo Manadou hitting a 0.63 is insane because he's just giant human.
He's the size of a house.
I'm 6'0", I'm 185 centimeters, so like 6'0", 6'1". I'm tinier. It's easier for me to get off the blocks than like a Ben and a Flo and anyone like that. But still, like it's still pretty quick though.
I thought you were like 6'4".
My arm span is.
See, that's what it looks like when I swim, boy.
Yeah, 203 centimeters is my arm span, and I'm 185. Like I am rectangular.
You say 203?
Yeah, I think it's like 6'7", 6. Yeah, 6.
No, that's like 6'10". Because I'm 2 meters.
Okay, well, it's bigger than that. Yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, I'm rectangular, which means like I have the luxury of swimming like I'm almost 7 foot in the water, but I only have to drag a 6 foot frame.
That is crazy. So, all right. So my wingspan is 206. It's whatever 7'2" is, and I'm 6'8" though.
Yeah,
like,
well,
your numbers are crazy.
Close to that. So, I mean, the trade-off again is longer lever means you need way more strength to be able to like get going. But once you break through that threshold of like enough strength to then get the ball rolling, then yeah, it's sweet.
Now it makes sense. Okay. Because I'm like, how is he 6'4" getting off the blocks and 0.53 with this long ass wingspan and breaking the, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. Okay.
Really rectangular.
Yeah. Shout out to your moms and your dad.
Yeah. Thanks for the genetics.
Yeah. Let me switch gears a little bit. When you broke the world record, I came on here and I said some things you should do now or in the future. And one of them was, if I was Cam McEvoy, I would sign with the Enhanced Games for a 1-race contract, and I would have nothing to lose because it would be a clean racer versus the enhanced racers. And it would be I think it would be the biggest event in swimming ever. I think it would be the most watched event ever, because after you broke that world record, there was all of the Enhanced Games haters came out of the woodworks and they're like, take that, like he's clean, blah, 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 best in the world. You guys are losers. So I think this Batman versus Joker, Superman versus whatever, I think it would be a really good hero versus villain matchup. And if you win, you get a bunch of money, and you are the hero. And if you lose, you still get money. And people are like, oh, he was racing a guy who was cheating, so who cares? So it's almost like you have nothing to lose. So I'm not going to ask you if you would. Just yap about what I just said. However you want to answer that.
There's a lot to lose. Basically, as it currently stands, anyone associated with the enhanced who wants to race in LA at the World Champs, anything in the World Aquatic sphere and the IOC sphere, if you're associated with the enhanced, you don't have a lane. And so I want to defend my World Championship title. I want to swim some fast times. I want to defend my Olympic gold in LA if I can. I want to be there. Even despite that, I want to have a lane in a 40,000 seater stadium for a swim competition. Paris was crazy. That was 19K. That's double the amount. So I want to do that stuff. And so being associated with anything to do with enhance, that's off the table, at least for now. That's off the table. So it's like Hunter Armstrong has signed on as their clean athlete. I've heard nothing about that off the back of just the announcement, both on the enhanced side and I guess World Aquatics, IOC, USA Swimming, which I thought there would have been a pretty quick rebuttal in that sense. So be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, currently I've got a lot to lose by doing that. So yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I think and I'm just going off of theory here. I think there hasn't been a rebuttal because no one really accounted for for this scenario because it was okay if you're.
I did.
Okay.
For the record.
You know what I mean.
A year before it happened, I put out a podcast episode on my weekly YouTube channel calling it out. So I did. Just
no one outside of the Black Stroke Nation, aka Night Swim, accounted for it. I think they're worried that it could reopen the lawsuit of the antitrust and the monopoly situation where allegedly is that if you're involved with the enhanced games, the argument is you can't be involved in the World Aquatics IOC sphere because it is admitted doping. But if somebody participates and isn't doping and still goes through all the protocols and is clean, now what do we do? And they can't say that they could still ban you because then you're breaking the antitrust rules there. So I think it's just kind of silence for now to see, like both sides are kind of playing this weird chicken of who's going to cave first. So I could see why you'd be sitting on that fence of safety. Yeah, and it makes sense. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth. We've kind of discussed this off camera. So I assume that's what would be happening. If I were sitting on the board of World Aquatics, that's where I would be. And if I'm sitting on the board of USA Swimming, I would be nervous myself because if a court comes out and says, yeah, he can do it and be fine, if I'm a USA Swimming swimmer or any swimmer, I'm taking it because I get. Here's another question for you. Because I did mention I would get, some top tier coaching, top tier doctors, therapists, and all that other stuff. And you had some comments that you didn't think it was top tier. Let me not put words in your mouth. What did you think about that?
No way going. It's just funny that this is no shade to the coaching team involved as individuals. It's more the technology and the setup involved, but the perspective is world-class scientists, world-class pharmaceuticals, so to say, world-class this and that. But the swimming setup is a stopwatch and just eyeballing times, and there's no electronic timing. I've seen a little bit of electronic timing that they do, but they don't post it. But a lot of the stuff out there is stopwatch times, eyeballed from 15 and all that type of stuff. And it's just funny, the contrast between the absolute, I guess, like primitive level of tracking the swimming thing, which is what they're actually doing, that is contrasted to the supposed top scientific approach that is the overall aspect of what they're trying to put forward, to put it in very political terms.
Yeah, and that may be dipping back into what we talked about, like the swimming atmosphere just not adapting to change. You know, that is technically traditional style training, is a stopwatch and an eyeball.
Yeah, it is. And like if you're sprinting and you're not, I know it's hard because there's no readily accessible like electronic timing for segments and stuff, but it's not that difficult to set up. It's just a camera system and make sure you have a light in there for the start, and that's it. But if you're not tracking segment times electronically, if you're not tracking everything electronically, then you're rolling. It's like an Olympic weightlifter having weights that had no numbers on the weights, and they just pick it up and go, oh yeah, that's about 20 kilos, or oh yeah, that's about 25, and going with that. Like it is no different to that. And so that's the state of the sport.
That is a really good analogy. And you say it, yeah, I mean, they got billions of dollars. They should have that. Good point.
Yeah. Whoever cracks the problem of like portable electronic timing in swimming for like 5 meter segments, whatever it may be, which I think it's not far away. Like even with AI can do it pretty quickly. You'll be a very popular company.
Well, I mean, Nike and like think about the NFL Combine. It's all laser.
Yeah,
you just set up the two things on the opposite side and then swim through it.
Track. You can just get these two cones in track and field and just set it up and go to anywhere. It doesn't even have to be on the track. Like run in a straight line, set them up, and then you get electronic timing instantly from that. So
too simple.
Yeah, I mean, swimming, the water makes it a bit harder, but still, we got a long way to go.
Well, Elvis electronic timing coming soon.
In line with what you guys said about the, this is not anybody else's opinion but my own. Like I'm not going to say I'm some type of anarchist or anything, but I think just like I hate watching swimming news. Just give me some technique stuff. Let me do my thing. I hate that I have to keep up with swimming because of night swim. And the one thing that I've observed, and we talk about this a lot, is that like the level of paper tigerness in this sport is insane. And if I were, once again, this is my mind of fuck you ism. If I came, I'd be like, okay, at some important meet or just before, I'm taking half of the Australian national team and we're going to go run it up at some random enhanced game meet and push their pockets. Like, do they really have the balls to show up with the Australian B team without the world record holder? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the whole reason the enhanced games has any type of traction at all anyways is because of the money not the money that they're paying the athletes, but it highlights the money that everybody else isn't paying their athletes. So it's just like, I really believe like Hunter obviously is doing more than I think anybody thought. And once again, this is my personal thought process on this. It's like if I can get 6 of the fastest people in the world that would decimate my national team's chances of success, like we gonna play a game of chicken, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna win because you guys are greedy and you want your money. So that's just my take on it.
That's a high level of fuck around and find out. Like on the fuck around and find out scale, that's up here. I don't think many swimmers exist on that end of the scale.
See, all right, this brings me to something else that you said earlier about the generational thing with the coaching. I was thinking as you were talking, right? And I was like, You know what the answer is? They need a 6'8" black man with enough ego, arrogance, and shit-talkingness to take this and force it down their throat. So the solution may be that name right there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But
It's
yeah,
not
I
too
just think in all this, I think the money is the way through.
What was that, Cam?
It's not too late to suit up and come back, you know.
Hey, you ain't lying.
I've
You ain't lying.
been dabbling. I do some. There's this league over here called Grown Up Swim League. It's like an offshoot of Masters Swimming, but they just do 25s, 50s, and 100s. So it's pretty fun. I showed up last season with a full body suit, and because it's like, yeah, sure, wear it. Who cares? Yeah, so it was fun. I'm gonna do it again this season. Let's see if I could drop a best time doing the cam training.
Probably showing some side boob too, huh?
Oh, big time side boob.
You got to live stream it for sure.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna hype it up. It's a group of, it's some good guys who run it. It's pretty fun. I posted something early on in our podcast one time. It's probably one of our our most watched videos. It was about the super suits, where I said it leveled the playing field. I don't remember exactly what I said, but something about
you said it leveled the playing field for like. All right, let's just say black athletes. I think that's what we insinuated.
Is that
because we don't float, like our legs are too dense, we sink. So those super suits kind of give us a lot more buoyancy.
Okay.
But you meant it in case an example of all people like that.
Okay. Yeah. So I basically said it would level the playing field, and now you had to race from a even stance, I guess. And you had a really good response to it. I was trying to pull it up, but for some reason my Instagram is like not working today. So I couldn't go back and read it. But I remember you basically said it was a stupid argument and I was an idiot. And I was like, okay, go on.
You'll get likes for that comment today. Like almost every day, there's like another, it just pops up on my notifications. It's on like almost 2,000 likes.
Yeah. Calling me an idiot is very popular. So I commend you for that. But I wanted you to kind of expound on that, like what your thoughts were on that, because I thought it was a great response, and I wanted to hear more about it.
I don't actually remember what I said exactly. I remember I went counter to that in the idea of something along the lines of like, I used Eddie Hall as an example.
I think your main point was that it detracted away from you actually having to be a good swimmer.
Dax, can you pull it up on your Instagram? Because I can't.
It diverges. It diverges further and further away from the general ability to perform whatever goal you're trying to do. Like the more technology that gets added, the more that technology has a role to play. Mm-hmm. And so as you get further and further into technology, you diverge further and further away from inherent ability.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think it was something like that. And then I used Eddie Hall as an example where, I don't know, Eddie Hall or someone about putting spikes on and being able to beat Usain Bolt or something like that because of the strength.
That does sound right. Yeah, dude, like my Instagram, that's what my Instagram has been all day.
Yeah, it sucks.
But you want to get a lot of likes? Call me an idiot. It goes very far.
So I have a question about your decision to make the 50 your choice when you started your comeback, right? Like, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, because I had to look it up, but you're a world junior champion in the 50 free, the 100 and the 200. It seems like after that, the 100 became like the main thing. So, and the 50 was, let's just say non-existent, just for argument's sake. to me, it would make sense to come back and be like, I'm going to use this program to be the best 100 freestyler. What led to you picking the 50 where you've had like limited success in comparison? And it would make sense that it would be a shorter road to the top in the 100, but yet you chose an event that you hadn't had much success in.
It's a good question. So I would say before all of this, like my main event was the 100 because that's the one I did the best time in, relatively speaking. But I trained to do PBs in the 200, and then the 100 was just the better one, and I could never put the 200 together. And then going into this new stuff, I initially started with the 50 and the 100, and I raced the 100 a few times as well. So when I started back, I was balancing a little bit of 100 training, a little bit of 50 training. I got back in the water like mid-October, and 8 weeks later we had our state championships. I went 49-2 in the 100 free of 8 weeks after 16 months off or something like that. And I think I was doing maybe back then it might have been like 8K a week or something like that. Which is pretty insane in and of itself. I was 49-1 in Tokyo in my 100. So 30K down to 8K, I did the same time in 8 weeks. So I could have just rested and chilled for most of that season. But anyway, that's beside the point. I got to a point where I think it was March of 2023 where I understood how impactful, or I guess sensitive, the nervous system is. And so the path was either continue the 50 and the 100, do decently well at both of them, but maybe be in no man's land in the sense where maybe I get my 50 free back down to 21.5 and my 100 free back down to like a 47.4 or something like that. Great times in and of themselves, but I'll make a final and that's it. Whereas if I could be hyper specific in one event and just really hone in on what makes that event good, then I've got a better. That's how I get on the podium at the Olympics and at the World Championships. And at that time, the 50 was just the most interesting one. That was the one that, like from a theoretical point of view, I had the most room to move in. That was the one that I'd always wanted to be really good at, but I had no idea how to do it. I dropped that 21.4 once, but outside of that, I was 21.9, 21.8, 22.0, and that was it. And so just unpacking what the 50 was a lot. And I love the fact that it was strength-based. Like the 100 is strength-based as well, but it was pretty much that. I wanted to hyper specialize in one of them, and the 50 was just more appealing at the time. I don't know where I would have ended up in the 100 if I went down that pathway. It would have been really fun despite that, but it was simply just I didn't want to be in no man's land. I didn't want to roll the dice on the two of them, and so I was pick one, and I just picked the one that was the most interesting and the one that I thought had the most room to move. Like the 50 was the one that had the most room to just do the most outlandish type of training compared to the traditional stuff. And at the start, that was a massive motivating factor because it was extremely new. It was like I was relearning a sport for the first time, even though I've been in the sport for 25 plus years. And I had a huge chip on my shoulder. I was pissed off at my career before that. I was pissed off at not being taken seriously in some sense about some of my ideas and everything going forward. And so that was the best path to basically have the most fun, but also do the most radical thing that would be the biggest, like the biggest, I don't know how you put it, like the biggest fuck you in a sense.
Yeah, get that vengeance.
Yeah, basically, like get the chip off the shoulder type of thing. So yeah, that's the backstory to that.
All right, I have a follow-up. Sorry, Elvis. I saw you loading up, Elvis. You said the thing about you were a good 50 freestyler, 21.4 to 22.0, but you realized you didn't really know anything about it. How many great 50 freestylers do you think that's, if you put a percentage on it, do you think that's the case for Because I know, like, when I look back at the teammates I swam with, who at the NCAA level won NCAAs, went from not making the meet to making top 5. And some of the things that I taught those guys who made the top 5 was in like the very beginning of me learning about sprint freestyle. And they went that far with it. So I look back at it and it's like, man, we didn't know shit about sprinting, which is not surprising coming from UT, but whatever. How, like, if you put a percentage on it, or if you just want to take it wherever you want to take it, what do you think about these people who are sprinters not knowing what they don't know?
100%.
Wow.
I reckon. But not in a sense, obviously within their own way they race, they know very well what their body needs to do based on what they've been exposed to in training, their past racing experience. As an athlete, then they know what they need to do based on their experiences, like tenfold, like better than anyone else that has come before them in the 50-free. So not to take that away from them, but generally speaking, in terms of what generates speed, what generates power, what generates technique, I'd probably say that there was a lot of low-hanging fruit left off the table in some form or another. I'd be surprised, even from a race analysis point of view, I'd be surprised that if any of them would be able to sit down and basically know 5-meter segment times that are good, 10-meter segment times that are good. Like you should be able to, in the future, the standard should be, if you get a race analysis for a 50 and you get every 5-meter segment, or even the 15 and then 3 10-meter segments after that, just by those 4 numbers, you should basically be able to know exactly what you're lacking, exactly what you're strong in. And that should guide you for literally the next full season of racing. And I don't think it's gotten to that point, largely because maybe lack of technology, lack of that type of stuff, multiple variables. But yeah, not to take away from themselves, but generally speaking, yeah, I reckon so much left off the table. Even look at Caesar's 20.91, like incredible swim speed, but I guarantee you he probably had 0.2 to drop from the first 15 alone if he had the right training structure that put everything else on maintenance, and he just spent 6 months only doing 15-meter work and developing the 15. And you could break down that for basically everyone's segments. So yeah, I mean, and even not like, take Caleb, for example. He's been 21.04 twice. The Olympics, 21.07. That was on day 8, day 9 of a competition where he'd done, I don't know how many, like a lot of sprinting, hundreds and 50s back to back to back to back every day. You got the emotions of the Olympic Village, the emotions of winning individual medals for the first time. And he dropped to 21.07 on the last day. And that's just within the Olympic circle alone. You'd count the training that he did leading into that. There was Greg Troy inspired, obviously Florida inspired. So it's volume based. It's not hyper specific to the 50 freestyle. Yet he still went at 21.07. He had the best 15 ever in history, but segment wise, there's still low hanging fruit for him to take that even further. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot left on the table in small elements with everyone as well.
I honestly think if Caleb Dressel trained similar to you, he could probably go 20.3.
It'd be pretty nutty. It'd be psycho. He is shifting towards something. I don't know the specifics behind it. But yeah, looking at the context of his 21.0s in, let's just take what I said, Tokyo, the type of training leading into it, what the Olympics is in terms of you're not fresh for that one final at the end of the week. It's insane to think about. It's exciting for the sport.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive, and I think it's stories like that kind of feed into the traditional style of swimming too. And I see it more as survivorship bias. We look at, and I use this term as a, term of endearment almost, these freaks of nature, a Michael Phelps, a Caleb Dressel, like these guys they're not normal, and they probably would survive in most, if not all, environments of training and still perform to a high level. So people just assume no matter what BS training they're doing must be right because they're going fat, but we disregard all of the ones who have died before them doing the same training, because they never made it. So,
yeah, Tim Lane talks about that a lot. He puts it really well. But yeah, effectively, you have a type of training. People go in, they do that. You have one person that does something crazy or psycho from that, and then that one is a justification for the whole. And then it becomes an endless cycle where that 0.1% subset of the population that does well in that training, and they're the best in the world, justifies that training as the meta. Whereas you've got 99.9% of people who across the spectrum are either burning out and getting extremely injured within the first couple of weeks to maybe doing okay, but they're never reaching their own potential. And so that's a trap. And I mean, you can't be, you have to apply that to what I'm doing too. And like, it wouldn't be fair if I'm saying that about them and also what I'm with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe though that there's a lot more scope in sprinting with what I'm doing to help. Like that subset isn't 0.1% now; it's a much bigger number. But yeah, that's my view on it.
Yeah, I've gotten in a lot of hot water because I've kind of associated that style of survivorship training with Bob Bowman, and people did not like that. And I said, okay, well,
yeah.
And they'll say, well, what about Michael Phelps and Leon Marchand? I said, okay, name 5 more. And then they resort to calling, and then they call me an idiot and they get a few likes. So
yeah. I've seen you guys going after him quite a bit recently, actually. I'm
No,
going to say
he goes after him.
one time. It was one time, maybe twice.
I have my comments, but he goes after him.
Hey, it's all out of love, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's
love, more the betterment of the sport.
Yeah, love the conversation around the sport. It pushes it forward.
Yeah, he unfortunately unfollowed us, but that's okay. We still love him. Here's a question:
Get MP on the podcast one day.
Yeah,
that'll never happen.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it after this, but that'll never happen.
Yeah, I did ask him, and he politely declined. Politely, so I appreciated that.
Politely declined.
Yeah. Here's a question, though. We talk about how swimming could do better with generating revenue and helping out the athletes. And one idea that had been shifted around was what we have all of this pool space, and athletes have all of this space on their suits and their bodies to wear patches or logos or, put a big banner underwater in somebody's lane. And even with AI, you can superimpose some of that stuff into the lane during, 1500 or something. So what are your thoughts on being able to, impose some NASCAR style logos into the sport? And I'm going to mute this and go yell at my dog because it's dark outside.
I'm all for that. There's actually recently a new, I wouldn't call it a rule, but there's a new thing where at the World Cups, water aquatics are allowing you to have one non-world aquatic logo, I think on your tracksuit, probably on your swimsuit, all that type of stuff, which is one more than what they've done traditionally. So it's a first step forward. Yeah, it's a tiny step for swimming kind, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. I'm all for it though. Like that in its extreme, like NASCAR level, I reckon that hopefully is where we can go. Plaster the tracksuits, plaster your jammers, your cap, even temporary tattoos. Like I've seen stuff online. So I've dabbled in crypto and stuff like that. People run experiments where they auction off their forehead, for example, space on their forehead for brands to have that little section for just something they do, and because that one auction goes viral for some reason because it's stupid. They like people pay a lot of money to get that front of the forehead brand, for example, and so why not do that in swimming? Like you come out, you've got one here, you've got one here, you've got one here. Every time you breathe, like you breathe to the right, you've got your right sponsor out, etc. It's a no-brainer. It would generate a lot more money. It would allow people to have a lot more individual sponsors and like bump the amount of money that you can get from them because they actually get recognition. Like one thing that Swimming Australia has right now is when we compete internationally on the Oz swim team, if we're not wearing the swimwear that is sponsoring Swimming Australia, which right now is Arena, then we have to have a black suit, and that suit is not allowed their logo on it. And so, like, I can get a black Mizuno suit, but Mizuno don't want to create their suits without the logo because that's like it's just not. It doesn't make sense for them. And so, I'm at a point where I potentially might not get to race in the Mizuno because I can't get a non-logo Mizuno right now. And so, you got the NASCAR dream, and we're kind of living on the actual other end of the spectrum where even a swimwear brand that you want to race in, we can't do that in Australia right now. So
the black Sharpie.
I tried that at Worlds last year. They said, yeah, give it a go. And beforehand it was good, but the moment I dived in, straight off. And then, I was told, don't do that again.
I remember I've seen people use like black duct tape over it too, like a little short patch of it. No. Are you sponsored by Mizuno?
No. So
shame on you, Mizuno.
Basically, I finished Paris. I was with Finis then. That contract ended at the end of that year. After Paris, I got the gold medal. And for me, basically, the leash was off in terms of I didn't really care then as much about like being prepared for winning whatever. The only thing I had on my mind from then was world record. I didn't care if I did that at the local club championships or at the Olympics. And so from then on, I didn't chase any sponsor. I wanted to wear the quickest stuff. So I've been in the Mizuno ever since because that is the quickest one. And then after getting the world record, so one Worlds 2025 reached out to them. They said no because of the Swimming Australia rule and all this other stuff. But then broke the world record, reached out, and I didn't get a yes, but I got a we'll consult with the team. So I'm really hoping something comes of it. But I got to not get my hopes up.
That is great.
Idea for you. Have you seen the Michael Jordan band commercials?
No.
So in the mid 1980s, all the shoes everybody wore had to be like very, like they're white. You got like one logo, like pretty much swimming rules.
Yep.
And he came out with the Air Jordan 1, and basically he was fined every game of the 82 game season. And what Nike did was they had like a slow pan from like Michael Jordan standing up, and they went down to the shoes and they put a big ass red X on them and it said ban, and the sales exploded for Nike. So you might have something there.
All right, Mizuno, if you're listening, let's do it.
That's crazy.
I mean, I'll see what happens from it. I'd love to get like a McEvoy Mizuno out there, like just keep it the same because it's a God suit. Maybe a little like, what do you call it? Like different colorway or something like that. And the amount of product out there is so small. Like so many people want it and it's so hard to get because there's such little product. We bumped the product, the amount of product available. I reckon we'd get a lot more people wearing Mizuno.
Call it the M&M suit. Nice. But I see. So if I'm thinking as a CEO, right? I'm thinking, why would I pay Cam to wear my suit when he's wearing it anyway?
Yeah, that's a good point. The other good point is, so Mizuno is tiny in Australia from a swimming point of view, but Mizuno's swim is really tiny compared to golf and compared to running and et cetera. It's not an important branch of their business. And so despite because
they're huge volleyball in volleyball also.
Massive golf, they got really good clubs and everything. So there's not much incentivization for them to back as a swimmer as well, with respect to that. But I mean, if they did outside of the USA and Japanese market, I mean, like that would show massive, massive support, massive appreciation. I'd be down for that. This is a shameless public plug, but yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool.
I need to try one of these suits because Dax and I had this argument that the jammers today are so much better than the previous jammers, and I don't see it. So I almost want to hear your thoughts on that because you swam in the full body suit era as well. Yeah,
I was 14 when the 09 suit came out, and I was tiny. My 12-year-old sister was taller than me, so I didn't fit into a suit. I never got to wear one. So yeah, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I don't know. But going from, I mean, basically the Mizuno suit in training, it's got to be 0.1 quicker, 225 than pretty much any other suit I wear.
But do you think that
we had this argument? I said that the Finis suit and like the maybe 2017 was the best suit on the market. And you said you were sponsored by Finis. Do you feel like Finis had the best suit on the market when you were sponsored by them?
I was sponsored by them between 2019 to 2021, and then took the year off and then came back and was re-sponsored 23, 24. So they had different suits compared to the 17 one. And I'd only worn that one. So at the time, no idea. Right now, I'd wear Mizuno.
I need to try this suit then.
I mean, there's a reason it was called the Ferrari suit back in 2016, I think, the blue suit that Caleb went 17 in or something like that, or Joe Schooling was dropping some crazy stuff in. But yeah, it's quick.
But do you think these suits kind of they work better with certain body types? Because in 2013, I wore the Mizuno suit and I swam well, but like I cramped up bad in my thigh area because, got that black ass.
Yeah. Well, I think it's made for like a Japanese physique.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I like anything, it would fit some, not fit the others, but I don't know. I put it on, feels really good. I'm not Japanese. But I swim pretty fast in it. So, and I feel good in it. So I like it.
Yeah. My physique is probably the exact opposite of a Japanese male physique. So.
I mean, there's only one way to find out. Source one and just find out.
True.
But y'all, I've seen my race pictures. There's a wave going off my ass. Like, I already know.
Yeah. I don't know. See, I'm willing to try it. If Mizuno, y'all want to send me a suit, I'll try it. I just don't know if I'm willing to pay $400 to go try it at a club. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not racing for anything specific right now. Oop.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll see. I'll think about it.
Oh, so you're the text message guy, Elvis.
What?
Are you the text message guy?
No, I've been.
Oh, it's me.
This whole time?
Okay.
Yeah, that's been.
I don't know. Just did. I was like, oh, he must be looking at his phone.
Oh no. I think Cam is beaming in from his phone and he's getting texts during the pod.
Yeah, I got the phone camera, but I'm on the laptop. Getting texts like the baby was asleep when we started, and he's woken. He's squeaking upstairs a lot, making a lot of noise and ruckus. So
I actually have a question about that. So there's a lot of swimmers who have kids right now and wives. You seem to be the one who's figured it out. And we've had our theories about this. We've offered advice. I think they're just the right advice. So I'm going to say something. I want you to tell me, I guess, your take on it, right? So my initial comment about this was, a woman loves you for who you are. She'll spend the whole relationship trying to turn you into who you are not. If she succeeds, she will leave you for somebody who is who you are when she met you. So I believe that as the athlete, like that's who you were, right? And that's who she fell in love with, like this singular focused athlete who had a goal. And it seems when I see people fail the family man aspect, it's like they sacrifice that, rightfully so, to take care of their family. But it's like if you do that, you lose the thing that has brought you to this level of success. So my advice to swimmers has been like, you got to be able to say no and stick to being that person, even though it's going to piss some people off. So you better make it for later. But that's been my take on this. So what do you think about that?
Well, to a degree, I'd agree with that. But basically, the first thing would be the way I train right now. It's pretty conducive to a good lifestyle, a good work-life balance.
Right.
I don't have to train at 5 a.m. every morning, 4 p.m. every night, do gym. I'm not doing 13 plus sessions of swim and gym a week plus physio. I'm one session a day. I could start that session at 8 a.m. if I wanted to. I could start it at 4 p.m. And so the flexibility of this training just allows like a week of living easily, because if we've got something on, I just change when I start my training, or if we need to adapt that. So the general flow of things, the impact on being around, not being around, goes a long way. On top of that, basically, like whatever I have wanted to do. So we started dating during COVID 2020. So she saw me basically at my rock bottom in my swimming career, and now she's seen me at the complete other end of the spectrum. And regardless of whether it was continue doing whatever training I was doing back in 2020, 2021, I wanted to have a year off and do all this other stuff. So she backed me on that one. And then I wanted to come back and try something pretty radical. She was like, all right, we'll do it. Like, I don't care. Like, as long as you do it, I'm going to support you, whatever the hell you do. And so she's just like, I've changed the different things in my training, but the constant is just, she's like, right, all right, I'll back you. I'll back you. I'll back you. And it's been as simple as that, but it goes two ways as well. So she was a nurse when we met, hated working that job. Like loved a lot of aspects of it, but hated there were just a certain way it was run and everything like that. It was really burnt out. And she, like, her passion was in research, I guess, and doing that type of stuff. And so I backed her when she wanted to go from nursing to go back to studying. She did an honors degree. She's doing her PhD right now. She's about halfway through, which shout out to her for being halfway through and giving birth. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And supporting me as well. Like it's a full-time job, basically allowing me to do what I need to do to get everything and like go out there, perform and provide back to the family and everything. So it's just whatever we want to do, you gotta back each other and be that rock of support. And then that combined with the way training is, like the flexibility of training when I need to train, but doing it around like being logical with it, not being stupid about it. It's just a good balance.
Right. Okay.
That's a good response. Yeah, and it's cool to see. I thought it was a cool shot. One, when you were doing the pull up in the park and you had the baby strapped to the chest and then the wife on the back. I thought that was pretty cool. And then to see that photo after you break the world record, you know, with your child and your wife next to you, it's like, wow, they've really been there through the whole journey.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Shout out to China Federation too. They looked after Maddie and Hartley the whole time. Got her to the pool. Like had a little room for Hartley to crawl around. It was past his bedtime. Got a little room to crawl around in. Got her on deck to watch. Got her, as in the stands. Got her on deck, like in the medal ceremony. As soon as I finished the race, to see her. That was special.
That's all. Yeah, Chinese hospitality is top notch. I'll tell you that.
It was good.
Yeah. Speaking of that was going to be a terrible segue, but I was going to say I've ranted how much I hate mixed relays on this show many times, and I'm curious.
That would be a terrible segue.
I was trying to relate it. We were talking, you know, family, women swimming, mixed relay. Yeah. Yeah. So I just abandoned it. Yeah. So I hate mixed relays. What do you feel about mixed relays?
I don't mind them, especially 4x50s. But I think it's pretty crazy they got rid of just general 4x50s, like 2024 World Short Course. They got rid of the men's 4x50, women's 4x50. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them, but why get rid of 4x50s? Like, yeah, it blows my mind.
Ooh, that leads into a better question. The way they're selecting the 50s of stroke for the Olympics is so convoluted.
Yeah, polite way to put it.
Are you about to Oklahoma this one?
No Oklahoma, but I mean, I've gone on about this in other podcasts as well. In and of itself, without looking at how you qualify for literally every other event, I kind of like it. Like if I imagine that they had this opportunity for every event on the program, then I would love to be able to qualify for 53 at some World Cup event, like a year out. I'm guaranteed the Olympic spot, all that type of stuff. And then have that on top of the general qualifying. So like USA have top 3 ranked in the world for one event, basically year round. And it's been like that all the time. Third place always misses out, even though they'd podium at whatever meet it would be. If you had that where first place gets a wild card entry a year out or 6 months out or whenever it may be, timing could be better. Maybe it's like April of the year instead of a year before. You have wild card for first place, and then second and third, who are probably going to get on the podium, can still qualify domestically through those top 2 spots. That'd be incredible. Track and field have not that similar type of approach, but they have a world rankings where you can get on and then you can qualify simultaneously. They have a 3 per nation type of thing as well. That'd be epic. But to bring in the 50 forms, just the 6 events, the 3 men and women, make it 2027 World Cups where you have to qualify off the back of the world champs in like some weird part of the year where it makes you not able to then begin your off-season training for the Olympic year until later, and it kind of pushes everything back. It also makes it, the question is, okay, does winning world championships matter, or does winning the World Cup to get the qualification matter more? So it makes those events a little bit more moot at the world championships. It is, yeah, the mental gymnastics around it is, I haven't figured that one out.
You know what? This just occurred to me. Or I don't know why more people don't ask questions like this. If you had to eat like one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Like me, I'm a cheeseburger man.
I reckon it would be a Japanese curry. It'd be like a katsu curry, karage curry. Like, can I rotate the meat around? Can it be like Wagyu beef, chicken, whatever, salmon, just a curry. So actually, I'll go one better, an omu rice curry. So you got the rice, you got the egg omelet, and then you've got the Japanese curry on top, and then whatever meat. 100%, I'd be down for that daily.
So I've seen Japanese curry a few times. How different is that from like Indian curry?
It's pretty different. Actually, it's very different. Yeah, I mean, I don't know food language in terms of describing flavors.
Is it like more soupy? Because I know Indian curry is like more thick, like gravy.
It's not that soupy. I mean, it depends where you get it from. No, it's not that soupy though. Just try it. Like it's a pretty big staple. It's probably at like every Japanese place. Guarantee you'll rate it.
Okay, for sure. Appreciate it.
That was like the most non-night swim question, but I'm glad it was asked.
You know, like you ever like eat something like, I could go with macaroni and cheese also. And it's like, man, I could eat this every day. But it's like, you have the fastest man in the world. It's like, yo, like, what does he think about this? You know? Like,
I mean, if I could go anything, it's just a good burger. I'm probably aligned with you on that one. I'm just too like, I've gotten too into my diet the last year because I had to off the back of Paris. And I've gone away from that type of stuff. But generally, like all my life, just would have been a good burger.
Yeah. Cheeseburger mafia.
Barbecue mafia.
I recently studied for my certified sommelier certification. I'm studying for the advanced level now. And yeah, Australia is a very big, wine country as well, and got a lot of wine regions. Are you a wine guy?
No, I mean, I enjoy it, but I know nothing about it. Yeah, that's my level.
Got it. He's like, this is a white.
We do have some good stuff out this way.
Oh yeah, Australia is on my list to come visit for sure.
If we ever have I don't know, Olympic trials in Adelaide or something like that, 30, 45 minutes away from the pool there is where most of the really good stuff in Australia is made. So you could definitely hit up the duo, the Olympic trials, into some crazy wine tour.
Oh. Here's a question. Who in the 50 free, what swimmer are you most worried about? Or who is your biggest challenge?
There's a lot of people with a lot of potential. They're like, this is another gripe I have, me and Tim, in the sense where the amount of people who are between 22.0 and 21.5, but their 15-meter time is still 5.4 or 5.5. It's just such a quick jump to go from let's say a 5.5, 21.6 to a 5.1, 21, I don't know, what's that, 21.2, something like that. And that could be done within 6 months type of thing. The amount of people in that boat is pretty scary. I've been talking about this a lot as well, like 2032 in mind, because I'll be 38. I'll be super unk again there. I reckon there's probably going to be some freaks of nature come through doing some pretty crazy stuff, particularly if they go all in on the 50 basket. Current crop right now in terms of the young guns, probably 2 stick out. So actually, I'll go with the leading one, who's been around for a little bit. So Igor Kornev. This guy drops a 21.4, breathing 3 times, I think. I think he went 29 strokes. He's doing a 200 freestyle technique.
I've seen this.
He's gone 44.9 short course. He's dropped some abomination times in short course, yeah, in terms of just crazy stuff. Really good guy, really passionate about the sport, and just the potential he has to, like, I wouldn't recommend this because he's young and he's insane at the 100. He's insane at fly, and he can do a good 50 free with that stuff. But if he were to learn a 50 free technique, figure out how to race at 61, 62 stroke rate instead of 50, do no breath, and just be a 50 freestyler, I reckon he'd drop something pretty lethal. And then on top of that, I think you'd be a fool to think that Caleb can't get back to at least his best. What we were talking about earlier in terms of the context around his 21.0s. If you make that more 50 freestyle specific, whether he's doing that or not at the moment, then I think I'd be a fool not to think that he could definitely be at least at his best as well.
I'm definitely a fool then. I don't think it'll happen.
I don't see it either. I think it's too late.
I don't think it's too late. I think he doesn't have a strong enough. I'm not trying to josh like I'm talking this guy out. I'm not dogging you out, Caleb. I just feel like there's things in his normal life that he doesn't know how to
balance.
Not balance, but like dominate and like pull into what he needs it to do to get his mind in a place where that becomes an option again.
Yeah, it's probably, you think it's more mental?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'm a big Caleb fan, and I would love to see him. Like I said, I think if he did the proper training, he could easily, I mean, he could have been that 20.8, or faster. Because like you said, the context around his 21.0 is absolutely insane. And I always thought that, I was like, man, if he was fresh, like what could that have been?
Yeah, but I mean, what would anyone trade? What did he get? 5 Olympic individual gold medals?
And 6.
6? He got 6 Olympic gold medals. Would you trade 5 of them to go 0.2 quicker in your 50 free or more?
Yeah, good point.
Not.
Good
Probably
point.
not.
I really wait. We didn't even asking you that question. You're the one who actually, like, to a degree, did that. Would you trade it?
Look, I definitely didn't have 6 on a platter, like he did.
But would you trade your 1 and your world record for those?
The definite answer is if there's 2 on the platter, I'm trading it for 1 very good time in one event. I was always so world record or Olympic gold. I was always a world record type of guy.
Huh. That was Usain Bolt too.
Yeah.
Try to ask us that question. Like we have any type of context around it.
So you mentioned 2032. Do you have a date of retirement in mind, or are you just kind of like, I know I'm going to go to 2032, and then after that, see what happens?
I'll take it as it comes. Obviously, like motivation. I want to grow the family, all this type of stuff. I'm giving the political answer. I'll take it as it comes. I would love to be there. I'll be 38. It's definitely possible to still be dropping at least at age. If I keep my body in shape, no injuries or anything. Yeah, I'd love to be, like I've said it a lot. Hartley would be 7 at that time. He's 3 in LA, probably borderline if he remembers or not. But Brisbane, 100% he'll remember. Also, I'm born and bred Southeast Queensland. Brisbane is Southeast Queensland. So at least getting to that point, whether I go after that, I don't know, or stop there, I don't know. But it's a pretty poetic place to stop if I did.
Do you know, have you ever heard of like, I'll just call it the pause game. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
Okay, well, I mean, I just wanted to ask, but I'd say it's pretty obvious. So it's like a New York thing that's kind of spread throughout the U.S. And basically, it's just being totally immature. Like when somebody says something questionable, you just pause, like, whoa, pause. Like, so you just said, take it as it comes twice now. So
Oklahoma.
Point that out for you.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Oh, you said it one time, and I was like, and you said it again, and I was like, okay, that's good.
Hey, yo, chill. How about this? Does Cam have any questions for Elvis and Dax? Let him interview us.
One forward one would be, what's your end goal? What's your end goal with night swim? Where do you want to take it? Is this a temporary thing, or is this like a building to a conglomerate within the sport? Or are you going to pivot to, is this a vehicle to get you to some other spot that is within the swimming community in some form or another?
I regret giving him the mic on this one then.
Yeah, that was a good question.
I don't know if we've ever discussed. I'll give my answer and then I'll let Dax give his answer. I'll start off with a little history. The podcast was kind of an idea that I had been trying to get off the ground for a while, and it was mostly out of frustration behind what I was seeing in the sport. You know, people, like most of my career, I had been I felt like I was screaming into the void, kind of like what you said. Like people thought my ideas were just crazy, and I would be dismissed. And I kind of spent my career trying to prove everybody wrong on that. And one of the big things was I had always said that swimmers were marketing themselves incorrectly or not at all. And the idea was that I won a gold medal, therefore I should get paid I should be sponsored. And I always said, no, when you're sponsored, you work for these companies. They can't just give you money for free. You have to provide some sort of value to the company. And to prove that, I said, I showed that I could get the same or more sponsors than a gold medalist without a medal. Because
He did. Have you heard of anything that he's done before?
No.
Oh my God. It would blow your brain.
Yeah.
It would blow your brain. Like he had I'll keep going, but I always sing his praises because we swam at the same time. And I remember being like, man, I'm like this high ranked in the world. He's over here getting a Nike contract. Like that should be mine. But he was shaking and moving, like exotic car deals almost going down. Like he's the man.
I was everywhere. I was outside. So I was kind of just trying to show the swim community like, hey, you guys really need to start doing more to get more. And then it also trickled into training of, why is everyone doing all this long yardage and just kind of praying for the best at the end of the season? Like, we should be peaking at different points in the season and swimming fast anytime. You shouldn't have to wait twice a year to swim fast. That didn't make sense to me. So I wanted to take those frustrations and put them out on a broader scale. And I felt like night swim could do that. And I actually had a version of night swim maybe 10 years ago with my buddy J-Max. He's a coach in California right now. But we had a little swim show on YouTube, and we called it Black and White Swim Talk. And Dax was actually our first guest. After that, we interviewed Kelsey Worrell. She has a different last name now. She got married, but she was one of the gold medalist flyer. We interviewed Elizabeth Beisel, interviewed the CEO at Finis. Like, we were gaining some good we interviewed Michael Andrew when he was, 14, and everyone was saying this kid was crazy. And I was like, no, like, this kid is going to be the truth. And everyone thought we were crazy. So that kind of like fell by the wayside. And I had been poking my buddy J-Max, like, hey, let's get this back up and running. Like, we could, like, podcasts are now blowing up. Like, back then, no one knew what a podcast was. And he was like, you can't be trusted. I coach kids now. Like, it's risky. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, like, I knew I didn't want to do it by myself. And I knew I needed somebody who was as reckless as me, as smart in the swim community. And the only person I could really think of was Dax. And I thought it was,
he said to me.
Yeah. And I said and this would really work out well if I could get Dax, because it would be two black guys talking about swimming, which is one of the widest sports next to skiing and skating. So I hounded Dax for like maybe 6 months to do this. And finally he responded to a text, and I was like, let's get this going, dude. And then our first episode, we did like a test, and it was just the test run just flew. Like, it was the chemistry was just so natural. I was like, yeah, we got something here. And then we put out our first clip I think we were talking about Sarah Sostrom. She was bashing the enhanced games, and I can't remember what we said, but that one, like, first clip ever, like 3 followers.
Oh yeah, we were saying, like, you got paid already. Like,
yeah,
must be easy to talk all that trash now.
Yeah, it got like 20K views in like 2 days, and we had like no followers, and I was like, oh God. And we just kept going. So I don't know what our end goal is with this. We're just kind of evolving as it comes, we know we want to put on some events with chill. I know we want to talk about putting on some events, maybe like a swim meet where we do some fun 25s, 50s with prize money. I do enjoy consulting still. So I want to help swimmers who don't know how to market themselves. And, I've had a lot of them reach out to me in my DMs already and ask, tips and stuff like that. I think I'd like to do some night swim clinics with different teams. I don't know if I want to I think the basis of this show is so quote unquote controversial for swimming. It's going to be hard for us to get, some of the bigger guests, because they're probably afraid of what we're going to ask. So I know that this won't be a very guest heavy show, and we're very appreciative that you would even come on,
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't see us getting a gig as like NBC commentators or anything in the future. So I kind of know our limitations, but I'm willing to sacrifice those limitations because that was the premise of the show of what I wanted to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I have no idea. Like, I was already just the same thing as Elvis, just talking shit about swimming in general. And once I got into like the business side and like having to learn how to market, like going into marketing competitions and getting my teeth kicked in and then learning like, okay, this is how you do it. And then seeing swimming's terrible job and then just understanding kind of like the historical context of sports where, you know, for lack of a better term, you got to abuse your black athletes. And then seeing like how these things weren't happening. And it's like, man, these people really have no idea what they're doing. So somebody's got to shake the tree until they figure it out. And like it from that, when you say like a future of it, I don't know what the future could be from doing something like that. Other than you somehow figure out a way to start your own swim league or like not that that's even something I've thought about before, but right now it's just kind of just having fun, poking fun at the obvious things in swimming that will make an impact. And like we get a lot of comments or messages and DMs from people like, we love your podcast. People who are like Olympic champions, like, thank you for saying this stuff. So it's not like we're not onto something. And that was a really good question. Like I've never even sat down and tried to project it out to anything. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'll go somewhere. But I've never even sat down and tried to see where it could go.
Yeah, I think the surprising thing for me has been the impact the show has had. Like, I thought we would, you know, have like 300, maybe 500 followers. Get like, I would have been happy with 1,000 views on a reel, you know, and we're like, I'm hearing people saying like, hey, like people on deck at this meet. Everyone's talking about y'all, or, you know, my phone was blowing up. They're like, oh, did you see Ilya like called you guys out on his post-race interview? I'm like, what? You know, so it's trickling into the culture of swimming. And at some points it's like really cool. And then at some points it's really scary because we'll say something and then we'll see like 2 weeks later, USA Swimming will do something very similar to what we just said. And you're like, were they listening? Or, you know, and I use USA Swimming as an example. We'll just say organization X. So we can kind of see like the impact we're having, but also not getting credit for it. So it's like funny, but scary, but also kind of pissed off at the same time. Yeah. So it's interesting.
I knew we were going to have an impact. I knew because it's like when you think about when you're having social kick with your homies at the end of a practice or you're in the locker room showering or whatever, like that's pretty much what we do. But you never see like your teammates be real like that in front of a camera. So like I was like, this is like what we do anyways. Like we're going to be fine.
Where would you like to see us go, Cam?
I mean, I'm in the, like, I don't know where you guys could take this aside from continuing on what you're doing. So you don't need to have an answer for that right now. I just keep doing what you're doing. But I mean, I was just gonna say I'm probably gonna have to bounce. We've been on for a solid amount of time now, and yeah, I definitely need to go help out, manage the baby and take over duties on that sense. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw you look up, and I was like, "Oh, yeah,
yeah."
We've held him hostage long enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, well, Dax usually does the outro. I'll let him do the outro.
Yeah, get off. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with us. We see the lifeguards coming back. So, unfortunately, this night's swim is over. Elvis, do you have any parting words for the people?
Parting words is just big congrats to Cam. We predicted that he would go the world record. They called us crazy. Now look, we're all crazy.
Now look at us. 3 peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Cam, do you have any closing words for the people?
For the people, keep supporting you guys. Obviously, there is, whether it's spoken out loud or not, there is a niche of following and need for what you guys put out. So keep it up to you guys as well. Thanks for having me on. Thanks to anyone who is listening as well to whatever stuff we have to say. Hopefully it has some form of, I don't know, influence or even just entertainment. But yeah, cheers for having me on.
And real quick before we, say our outro, Cam had some very nice words about my Wrigley product. I would just like him to just confirm that he said those things.
Yeah. To reiterate what I was saying off screen, he is a massive technique nerd, and he's got I got put into, I guess, the back catalog of everything he's got to offer. I had a look at the sprint freestyle stuff. It's good stuff. It's a giant catalog of pretty much anything. Technique is something that is not taught very well, or there's very little access to that, generally speaking, from the ground roots all the way up to even the elite level. So if you want to get anything from your technical knowledge base, jump on Dax's basically, technique base. It's good shit. You'll learn something. You'll get better.
Damn.
There you go, from the fastest man in the world. So this is the Night Swim podcast. Make sure that you hit that noti bell so you're notified whenever we drop a video. Sorry for last week, guys. Once again, that is my fault. I couldn't talk, but we drop an episode every day. Please hit that like and that subscribe button so you help push us in the algorithm so we can get our message out to more people that it's okay to be yourself instead of trying to be this cookie cutter version of what needs to be in front of a camera. And thanks for hanging out with us. Peace.
Good night from Night Swim.